Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV. You're here with Amanda Hall Psychic all the way from the Gold Coast in Australia. We're actually having a beautiful, perfect, I suppose, winter's day. I don't like winter particularly very much. I much prefer it to be sunny. So I'm really envious of everybody in the Northern Hemisphere where you're in the middle of summer and, you know, you can peel off the clothes and sort of go to the beach or go to the swimming hole. I'd really like to be able to do that here. But anyway, we have to have winter sometime, I suppose. So let's get stuck into the show in a big way today. We'll start off with the Simply Tarot card of the week, which the card of the week this week is actually the Five of Swords. Now, the Five of Swords is a rather ambiguous card, as a lot of people sort of say to me, Amanda, I don't quite understand this card. It is the card of losses, but it's trying to share with you that all is not lost. If you look closely at the card, you can see that he still has three swords remaining, which gives you the upper hand in the situation. Even though there's been a battle going on, you are victorious in this because you have the upper hand. You have, you know, the balance of power is in your hands. So if you've been feeling like the last couple of days or even just today that you feel like you're in the middle of a battle and you're not wondering whether or not you're gaining any traction, this is to share with you, and it's informing you that you do actually have some traction in this situation. You actually have the balance of power in your hands. So I feel it's a very apt card this week for what's going on around the globe, and particularly as we've seen in the last 24 hours with the meeting between the North Korean leader, Chong Lung, and your president in the US of A, Donald Trump. That was a world-breaking, history-making moment that I think a lot of us will sort of remember for a very, very long time. It is record-breaking. It is something that we should all be really taking very, very seriously. I'm actually watching that with closeness because I feel that there's something really amazing and powerful is going to come from that. Even though there's a lot of people saying it won't, I'm going to be put on the record to say I believe it will. So anyway, let's kick the show along. This week we're going to be working with the new moon. The new moon is going to happen on the 14th of this month. So wherever you are in the world, we're starting to build up now to the energy of the new moon. The new moon this month is in Gemini because we are in the Gemini time of the year. So what I always say to people is when we're going to be working with a new moon, this is the new moon candle, is write your intentions of what you would like to start. What are the new things that you want to bring into your life? Now, they may be short term, they may be long term. I'd like to see at least three things written on your list, maybe something that can be handled quickly, something that's a bit more mid-range, and something a little bit long term. Now, for those of you that work with my candles, you'll know that they have 2 wicks inside these large ones. Now, these extra large ones, and I'm a bit mingy like that. I like to light one side one day and one side the next day, just so that you get a more even burn. And also the fact that you run the risk of, if you burn both sides at the same time, with the changes in temperature around the globe at the moment, as the seasons are changing, sometimes the glass containers can crack, and I wouldn't like to see that happen. So if you're only burning 1 wick, you can probably get estimated up to about 100 hours out of it. If you're burning both sides, approximately 60 hours. So that's the new moon candle. So what we'd be doing with the new moon is writing the three things, minimum of 3 things on the piece of paper that we want to start in our lives. Not necessarily projects we've already got underway. These are things that we would like to bring towards us. Now, because the energy is in Gemini, I'm going to be burning with mine the air sign candle, the candle for Gemini as well. From today, I've already started today. I'm sort of got my 3 things on my piece of paper. So I would make the list identical to put on under the air sign candle or your Gemini candle if you work with these. And this also just sort of helps the energy bring it in. So I say minimum of 5 minutes, preferably minimum 15 minutes a day. So we're looking at 2 days on the approach, 3 days of the actual moon energy, and then 2 days on the descending. So we're looking at a 7-day cycle when you work with a full moon or a new moon. So for those of you that might want to look at something a little bit smaller, we do have a travel pack. This is a pack that you can make up with any of the 28 candles in our range. I've made it up with 2 new moon and 1 air sign candle, or the Gemini candle. You could choose 2 Geminis and 1 new moon, or you could pick something completely different to go in your pack. It's entirely up to you. For those of you that don't want to work with a candle, my suggestion is a melt warmer or a wax warmer. You can buy these at your local supermarket or your variety store. Here in Australia, under $20 at the local supermarket. I take about a half a teaspoon of wax out of my candle and put this in the melt warmer. If we're doing something like the new moon, I would take half a teaspoon of the new moon and half a teaspoon of the air, mix them together, and then that's way we still write our list. We put it underneath the melt warmer, Always place everything on a coaster. Do not leave anything directly on furniture because they do get hot and we wouldn't like to scorch the furniture or cause a fire. And I can't stress enough, please never leave a candle unattended, never leave it under a curtain, near children, near dogs, near air conditioners, fans, because they will quickly ignite if they're not, we've got to keep an eye on them. It is fire after all. You don't light the fire in the fireplace and not put a guard around it or make sure that it's built properly so that it can't spill out into the floor and burn the house down. Well, the same is to be said with candles. I mean, they are fire after all. So the new moon is asking us to bring in new opportunities into our life. And because it's in Gemini, it's also asking us to be very flexible, be very open to new ideas, because the Gemini energy will be just like the snap of the fingers. Things can change in a moment's notice. We can have ideas popping into our mind that happen very quickly. If we don't find a way of recording that information by writing it down on a piece of paper, on a notepad, recording it on your phone, it's gone and may be gone forever, because there's just so much that the universe or our spirit guides want to share with us at the moment, that information and knowledge is just coming that quickly. I know I've had, lots of people inboxing me and saying, what's going on? I feel restless. I feel, not necessarily negative, but I'm feeling like I can't sort of ground myself at the moment. Well, it is always difficult to ground yourself with an air sign energy because it's usually asking us to take some sort of action. So because it's action of the mind, this can also overflow into action of the body, because if the mind is restless, the body follows. So it can make it a little bit difficult then to sometimes focus on the job at hand or remain focused on the work that we have on our desk to do for the day without running off into a different tangent. And I know I'm usually fairly able to ground myself and keep my mind focused on the job because I have a strong Saturn in my chart. But even I've been finding in the last 24 hours that my mind's wandering off, or I get lost in a song because I'm a mad music person and I always have music going in the background if I'm not talking to a client. So it's sort of like it's very easy for me to get lost in that. And, there's just too many people to mention that I love as far as music's concerned. But that leads us into our feature focus this week astrologically, our mini lesson. I've been focusing on famous singers. And this week we're up to the female in Gemini. And I'm pleased and very proud and excited to announce I've chosen this week Kylie Minogue. Now, I'm sure there isn't a person around the world that doesn't know Kylie and some of her beautiful, catchy pop songs. I was talking about it with my producer before the show. I Should Be So Lucky, Locomotion. And probably one of the ones that I like the most is I Can't Get You Out of My Mind. So all of those songs sort of spring to mind. Kylie started her career when she was very young here in Australia in a top hit show here in Australia that went to many, many parts of the world. I'm not sure that it got to the US of A, called Neighbours. And it was set in a street in Melbourne where the neighbours, were in and out of each other's business and minding everybody else's business, probably except their own, which is probably pretty true around the world, of a reasonably small or large community. So Kylie made her debut in that a very, very long time ago. And I can remember, when she was in the show and then not long, during the time she was in the show and not long before she left, she started her music career. And I'll share a little personal thing with you. My grandmother was up on holidays and my daughter was probably 8 or 9. And of course she was showing Nana this lovely, Kylie singing one of these lovely songs. I think it was Locomotion from memory. And I remember Nana sitting there saying, yes, that's very nice. And she came out to me and put the kettle on and she said, that poor girl can't afford to buy any clothes. Isn't that terrible? All that money they pay her and she's got hardly any clothes on. So she found that, she thought the poor girl couldn't afford to buy clothes. She didn't realise that was the way the TV crew had dressed her for this particular music pop clip that, she had a little midriff top on or something, a bra top or something. But my poor Nan thought the poor girl wasn't being paid enough and, how could we help her get more money in a bank account? So I had to try and explain to her that was the way of the world, Nan. So that's just a little bit of trivia. But Kylie's been known to go on to be a singer, an actress, a dancer. She's affectionately known as the Pop Princess. She's appeared in many, many things around the world. Look, probably too many things to mention. Over 80 million records sold to date from Kylie. She's sung for the Queen. She's been in just about everything that you can think of. That many awards, too many to mention. And I really think that, one of the most amazing things that we can say about Kylie is she's always been true to herself. She's fought breast cancer. She shared that with millions and millions of people around the world, encouraging women to go and get screened. And I think that's one of the things that I probably admire about her the most is that she took that illness, as Olivia Newton-John did, And they tried to bring the awareness to women to really take care of themselves and don't ignore these tests that you can go and have, and make sure that you look after yourself. And I think that's something that we really need to be really very aware of. And I think if that's something we can take from Kylie, is all the women around the world, make sure that your breast screen's up to date, please. So it's been a very, very interesting week in this last week around the globe. And I know I briefly mentioned about the historical meeting that took place yesterday. And this leads me on to another little area that I'd like to talk about astrologically that I know we've spoken about briefly before, was Uranus moving into Taurus. And I talked about it on a very personal level. It is an 8-year cycle, but it's also, now if I can talk about it on a world scale, this is exactly what Uranus in Taurus is doing, is it's creating the opening out of literally nowhere, like the sudden bolt of lightning, something that people never expected would happen, where we're getting world leaders together and they're discussing the things that are important to them as a nation and important to the globe as such. So we may just see some more historical meetings that happened like yesterday. We can see some groundbreaking opportunities to make things right, to make the world a better place, and hopefully make it a safer place. So just stay tuned. I think we're going to see some more revelations in this next couple of years, particularly as we tackle some of the world's biggest hot potato type issues. And this one's one of those hot potato issues between, North and South Korea, and particularly North Korea and the rest of the world. But just let's hope that maybe we'll attack some of the other issues like homelessness and child slavery and, pedophilia and things like that. Let's hope that the world leaders are listening and are prepared to think outside the square and join forces with other countries that maybe that they've not had such a good connection with before, and work together in unity to make the world a better place. Fingers crossed, but I believe it can happen. So we're going to move on, and we're going to take our very, very first caller, which is Sandy in Hopkinsville in Kentucky, USA. Are you there, Sandy?
Yes, I am.
How can I help you tonight, Sandy?
I have been better.
Okay. Do you have a question for me that I can work with, sweetie?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I have a couple. I've had a migraine for the past 6 days. I've missed so much work.
Uh-huh.
And I go see the doctor tomorrow, and I'm scared of what they're going to find. And I'm scared I'm fixing to lose my house and everything else because of my health condition.
Okay. Technically speaking, Sandy, we're not allowed to discuss by law health issues because I'm not a medical practitioner. What I can tell you is that I do feel that you will get some resolution. I don't know that it's necessarily going to be as early as tomorrow, but I do think the doctor in question, the health practitioner that you're going to, will take you seriously with what you're discussing with them, and will explore this and get to the bottom of the issue. I know it's always a concern when you've had something like this and it just doesn't seem to be going away with normal, medications and things like that. So, I know that you will get answers. Whether you're going to get them fast enough to be able to sort of get you back to work quickly enough so that we can sort of resolve other issues. I am seeing that there is changes around where you're living. So I can only take that as not necessarily maybe losing the house, but maybe having to renegotiate or go back to the bank or something like that and sort of discuss with them another way of maybe sort of temporarily putting your repayments on hold or something like that, so you can play catch up and get back to where you should be without sort of losing the house. I think communication is the key here. It's not always about listening to the horror stories of other people. I think you've got to look at this as your situation, and you actually going and talking to somebody and explaining to them what's gone on and asking them for help and saying, what are my options? Don't leave it until the last minute and there's nothing you can do. Start the chain of, start the conversation with them, because I think that's what needs to actually happen. This to me hasn't been a recent problem though with your health, Sandy. I think they're showing me sort of like 2 other situations or 2 other conditions that come into this or tie into this migraine. And that's the thing that I don't think anybody's really got to the bottom of it yet. I do believe that there is an opportunity for them to get to the bottom of it. I don't say completely make you back like a teenager, but certainly give you a lot better health than what you've got now. That's what I'm seeing.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
So have you actually gone and had a talk with your bank about your housing loan or anything like that? Have you started any conversations with them about what's been going on?
My house is in my mom's name, and I pay her rent.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's an issue there.
Right. But okay, if you're not able to pay your mother the rent, then she's not able to make the mortgage payment. Is that the issue?
Well, she says there's a payment, but it's not a payment on the house. It's a payment on her car.
Right.
And it's like she's nickeling and diming me to death on every time I get paid. She wants every bit of my paycheck to where I have no money for nothing.
Yeah, but you can't do that. I mean, you know, are you paying her more than what you would if you were renting a property down the street?
Do what?
Are you paying her more than market value for the house? For the rent on the house? Are you paying more than what normal rent would be?
I pay her actually less than what normal rent would be around here.
Okay. So that puts you between
a
rock and a hard place.
Well, it's your house, but, you know, it's bad that I have to pay her rent on something that's supposed to be mine.
Yeah, but technically if it's in her name, it is her house, isn't it? I mean, you know.
Well, I bought it, but she ended up going and borrowing money against it because it's sitting on her land.
Right. Well, I think maybe
and the bank
got to go
said she can do that because it was sitting on her land.
Right. And then you're paying her rent on that. Is that what's happening?
Right.
But how was the house actually financed initially? Was the loan taken out to buy the house to put on her land? Was that taken out in your name or her name?
It was her name. It was actually a signature loan that she got because the trailer does not have a title.
Right, okay.
She borrowed money to buy a car.
Right. Well, you've got to try and sort this out with your mum because she can't leave you with nothing to live on because that doesn't help your health levels because that's putting more stress on you. Right, it does not.
And, I mean, it's got my stress level up so high now that it's not even funny.
No, I appreciate that. And it would be. I think you've got to go and have a little chat with her and sort of say to her, look, you know, Mum, we've got to come to some sort of arrangement here because I can't keep giving you all my paycheck every week and having nothing to live on. What am I supposed to live on? Fresh air?
I guess that's what she looks at.
Yeah, but I don't
because she just told me tonight that if I didn't go back to work, that she was going to start turning off everything in my house.
She's not a very nice mum if she can do that to a daughter.
Right. You wouldn't think so, but she does.
Yeah, but do you think that's sort of like she thinks maybe you're putting it on? You know, maybe she doesn't realise how serious the situation is, as much as your health is really legitimately not right?
No, well, her problem is that she thinks nothing is wrong with me. It's all her. Because she'll call me like 2 or 3 times a day, oh, well, I heard, or oh, I fell, or blah, blah, blah. And I'll be like, well, why didn't you call me? Well, what was you supposed to do, you know? I mean, it's like I'm the black sheep of the family. I do everything wrong, and my brother seems to do nothing right. I mean, I do everything wrong. My brother seems to do everything right. It's fine and dandy that he doesn't come and visit her. He doesn't have a whole lot to do with her. Well, I do understand he works, but still, you know, on the days that he's off, he could take time out to come see his mom that he doesn't do. But when she goes in the hospital, it's all about him. He takes her purse. He takes everything. You know, she hands him all this. Here, son, you take care of this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but that's not uncommon. What you're sharing with me is that happens quite a lot. It's the girls of the family that take on all the physical day-to-day care of their parents or their mother or whatever, and the boys seem to get all the glory. I think, look, what you've got to do is try and sit down and have a conversation with her after you've been to the doctor and after you get the results of what's going on, and sit down and have an honest conversation with her. I think that there is things there that can be negotiated, and I do think she will start to take you seriously. I wish you well for the future.
I hope so. It's driving me crazy.
Yes, I appreciate that, but we do have to move on, and I wish you well for the future, sweetie. Good luck. Okay, Katie, are you there from Louisville, Nebraska, USA? Katie, can we help you?
Hi.
Hi, what's your question, sweetie?
I was just curious as to what's going to happen in my personal life.
Okay, by your personal life, you mean your love life?
Yeah.
Yeah, so no one special there at the moment you've got your eye on?
Not really.
Okay. All right. The reason I ask, I always ask if there's someone that you were interested in, because I'd rather look at them rather than just go in and sort of explore what's going to happen. I feel that there is someone new coming into your life. I wish I could say it was tomorrow, Katie. I'm not seeing anybody till towards the end of the year, sort of like September would probably be about the earliest, but I'm more looking towards October to sort of November. I'm not saying you won't have the opportunity to have dates in between. I'm looking for somebody really special, somebody significant, and it's not till that sort of last quarter of the year do I see that someone significant coming into your life. I see a man with brown hair, blue eyes, and I'm going to say at first glance you sort of think, yeah, he's okay, but he's not really my style. He sort of seems a little bit too quiet or a little bit too laid back. I sort of like somebody with a bit more energy. Don't let first meeting fool you, because I think he's one of those people that he tends to sort of give that impression of being a little bit laid back or not that interested to begin with, because he's just sort of surveying the kingdom almost. Sort of, he likes to have a good look around and observe people before he sort of makes a play for someone, or before he introduces himself, or before he has a conversation with someone. So don't look at that as that's who he is, that he's extremely quiet or extremely shy. Because as you get to know him, you'll actually see that he's got a very vibrant side to his nature, and he's actually got a very lovely personality with a beautiful sense of humour. So that's good. I really like him. I think he's a very nice man. I do feel that he drives a pickup truck, so that to me would sort of indicate maybe somebody that works with their hands, not necessarily somebody that works with their mind or works in an office. I also see, I don't know whether this is now or whether this is where he's brought up, but I see cattle around him as if he's been brought up in a farming type area. And because I don't know much about the places in the USA, I can't sort of say to you that it reminds me of a particular area, because that's just something I see he likes to do, or maybe something he used to do when he was a bit younger, going rodeos or something like that, working with cattle. But he seems a nice man and he's got a good energy, and I feel the relationship will grow quite quickly and the two of you will sort of build quite a nice life together. It's interesting because I feel this year for you, Katie, has been a year of change, but it's been changes that have sort of come in a flood and then stop, and then another rush of something and then stop, and then a rush and then stop. And it's like, has this year ever really got going and got flowing? Well, probably not. Will it? Probably not. So just go with the way that the year's unfolding for you. Has there been a change of job or changes of duties around your job this year, Katie?
Yeah, there's going to be. I just got a new boss at my job, and then my coworker is leaving.
Right. What I want you to do is just take a deep breath and go, okay, let's do this. You know what I mean? Like, brace yourself, let's go. It's not necessarily going to be quite as bad as what you first think. At first you sort of think they really have lost their mind. They don't know what they're doing and why they're making these changes. You don't see any logic in it. I'm going to say to you, in the bigger scheme of things, there is a pattern, there is logic, and it will actually be better. The job itself will be more streamlined and everybody around you will be a lot happier. It's time now that they need somebody very strong there, sort of coming in and making some fairly decisive changes to get the company as a whole moving forward. That's really important. I feel by about March next year, I think you'll be in a position where your job that you're in will probably morph into something else that will sort of, in a sense, be like a promotion with a different title and a bit of extra money, but it's not necessarily do we officially announce, oh, wow, Katie's got a promotion. Do you know what I mean? It just sort of morphs its way into that, and you'll be actually very happy with that. So I feel 2019 is going to be a much more stable, sort of steady, sort of predictable year than 2019 will be more that than 2018 was. So just go with it. Everything's fine, Katie. Your life's moving forward. So we've come to the end of the show again. How the show does go quickly. We'll have the same format next week, simply Tarot Card of the Week. We'll work with our Candle of the Week. We'll also have our first of our singers in Cancer next week, so that'll be a nice surprise. And I just want to mention to everybody, if you want to book a private reading with me, head to my website, www.amandahallpsychic.com.au. Don't forget, when you're at the checkout, type in the box radio in capital letters and you will get a discount. For those of you that might want to purchase some candles, we do offer free postage here in Australia. Unfortunately, for our overseas family, we can only offer a flat fee. So my suggestion is save up your pennies, book everything you want all at once, and that way you can get, at a much better price. So I look forward to working with you all again next week. So I hope you have an absolutely awesome week wherever you are in this planet of ours. Those of you that want to continue on with me, I will be on Facebook Live doing a mini workshop on the new moon in Gemini. So pop over to my Facebook page, Amanda Hall, and we'll be joining you very, very shortly. So have an awesome week wherever you are. Bye for now.